What's his name, Chris?
This is Chris, yes.
Yeah, Chris.
Chris Philp.
I come from a neighbouring country called Congo, if you know geographically, that is located right next door to Rwanda.
Here's Chris Philp last year being asked a question concerning the Tories' Rwanda scheme that Philp still seems to have a hard-on for even today.
But between the July election and yesterday, 25,135 people illegally and dangerously crossed the English Channel, a 28% increase on the same period 12 months earlier. Does the Home Secretary now regret ignoring the National Crime Agency's advice that law enforcement alone is not enough and that a removals deterrent is needed?
I come from a neighbouring country called Congo, if you know geographically, that is located right next door to Rwanda.
Now, I'm not great with geography, but I want you to remember the man on Question Time actually explained that Congo was next to Rwanda. And you would think that a politician so invested in this scheme, like Philp seems to be, would be aware of Rwanda's neighbouring countries. Anyway, let's remember what happened.
And right now in Goma, there's a genocide going on, and there's such a big conflict going on with people from Rwanda. So had my family members come from Goma on a crossing right now, would they then be sent back to the country that they're supposedly warring, Rwanda? Does that make sense to you?
No, I think there's an exclusion on people from Rwanda being sent to Rwanda.
They're not from Rwanda, they're from Congo.
They're from Congo.
And they're supposedly,
from Congo.
They're supposedly warring these people from Rwanda. Are they then going to be sent to Rwanda if they came here on a crossing?
From
Congo? Yeah.
Would people be sent from... Well, I mean, Rwanda is a different country of Congo, isn't it? It's a different country.
Yes.
It is.
Yes. Definitely. You're saying if they come from a war zone...
Does the Home Secretary now regret ignoring the National Crime Agency's advice that law enforcement alone is not enough and that a removals deterrent is needed?
So, back to the present, and pig-ignorant Philp still seems to think the Rwanda scheme was and is a good idea. Yvette Cooper begs to differ, though.
I just perhaps point out to the Shadow Home Secretary that the figure he refers to, when the Conservatives were in government, we saw that many people arrive in the space of just over 100 days because they completely lost control of our borders and let criminal gangs take hold along the channel. And 84,000 people arrived on small boats, while the Rwanda policy that he somehow wants to reintroduce managed to send just 4 volunteers. We have increased returns by over 20% to 19,000. That is important, but I hope he will explain why he voted against counter-terrorism powers to go after smuggler gangs.
Well, she talks about the Rwanda scheme. Of course, it never even started. As she well knows, the first flight was due to take off after the election, but she cancelled it. And in relation to returns, she mentions returns a moment ago and how they've gone up. What she failed to mention, Mr. Speaker, was the vast majority of those, of course, did not enter the country by small boat. The number of small boat returns went down after this government came to office and represent only 4% of people crossing the English Channel. Does she really think letting 96% of illegal immigrants stay here is going to deter anybody?
To say to the Shadow Home Secretary, the Rwanda scheme ran for 2 years. It was running for 2 years. Exactly. All they managed to do, they ran for 2 years, spent £700 million of taxpayers' money to return just 4 people. And in the period in which he was in government, 128,000 people arrived on small boats. A tiny percentage of them ever returned, even though those numbers included 12,000 Albanians. This government is having to sort this chaos out, but his party, again, fails to support counter-terrorism powers against smuggler and trafficking gangs, siding with the criminal smuggler gangs instead of the people of Britain.
Click here for Philp calls 9 million Britons lazy.